everyone, tonight we are making Orzo Tuscan chicken bake, and this is the first time that I've ever made this recipe. I found it on Pinterest. It looked yummy, and so I made it. And I am not a very good food photographer. I know that it probably looks not that appetizing in this bowl, but basically it's Orzo pasta with chicken. So you got your protein. It's got some spinach and cherry tomatoes, so you've got some vegetables in there, and it's all in this really, really yummy cream sauce. To me, it's a balanced meal. It comes together in one pan, and I can eat my entire dinner in one bowl. And so to me, that is a weeknight win. And I hope that you are cooking along with me tonight and that you're gonna get to enjoy the journey of cooking, which is not just watching it on your YouTube video, but smelling it and tasting it and hearing it. It's a whole experience. I hope you're joining me on that journey tonight, and let's get cooking. And so as always, first things first, we need to preheat our oven. In this case, we are gonna go preheat to 375 degrees. The recipe calls for a 9 by 13 pan. I have a large casserole dish that I'm going to be using. You can see it's glazed on the inside. I don't have to worry about anything sticking to this casserole dish. If you're using a metal pan, it might get crunchy on the edges. It might stick. You might want to spray it with non-stick spray or rub a little olive oil to prevent sticking. The first thing going in is 16 ounces of orzo. Orzo looks like rice, but it is actually a pasta. So we're just going to put that in there. Next up is 2 cups of cooked chicken, and I'm going to be using rotisserie chicken tonight. Now you could dice up some raw chicken, go ahead and cook it, but with the 40-minute bake time that I know is coming, I just kind of want to keep this quick and convenient, so I am opting for rotisserie chicken tonight. So here's my little guy. They usually put a little string down here to tie the legs together. I'm gonna take that off. And I like working with it when it's cold. This has been in the refrigerator all day. I feel like everything comes apart so much easier. I'm just gonna pull off. That's a leg and a thigh. That's a leg and a thigh. We got a little wing and another wing on this side. And then these are the breasts here. And so what I usually do is just take off the skin. I'm gonna put that in my bag here. I've got a knife and I'm just gonna kind of start slicing some of that breast off. Rotisserie chickens are really, really great time savers when a recipe calls for cooked chicken. It's nice because they're already fully cooked. They're usually super tender, very well seasoned, makes it fast and easy. And there's definitely some more meat to come off of there. Sometimes at this point, it's a little bit easier to just get in there with your fingers. Okay. So that's where all of the white meat is. And then here we've got our thigh and our leg. That's where the dark meat is. And again, I'm just going to remove the skin and just start kind of picking that meat off the bone. It's kind of messy, but this meat is so flavorful and so tender and good. And it's going to get us going on our recipe extra fast tonight. Just be careful not to get any bones in there. And then I usually don't bother with the wings. There's not that much meat on them. I usually set them aside, and I know for sure one of my kids will eat them as a snack later. Go give my hands a quick wash. Okay, and now I just kind of come in here and I'm just gonna chop it up into smaller chunks. Now I'm not measuring. The recipe calls for 2 cups of cooked chicken. Just eyeballing this, it looks like more than 2 cups to me, but that's okay. It's all going in there. One of the other things that really attracted me to this recipe is that it seems very nutritionally balanced. And this is our protein part right here. So lots of good protein. I'm going in with all of it. So there's our chicken and another hand wash break. The next to go in is 3 cups of chicken stock. And I don't use chicken stock, I use chicken bouillon. I like that it has, I think, a more intense flavor. So I'm using chicken bouillon, but go ahead and measure out 3 cups of chicken broth, chicken stock, chicken bouillon, your liquid gold of choice. And straight in it goes. Next is 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Gonna give it a shake. And in that goes. The next ingredient is 5 cloves of garlic. Now, if you guys watch my videos at all, you know that I usually use prepared garlic. I've got my garlic paste here. I get it in the produce aisle. If you need help preparing fresh garlic, I will put a link to that video in the end screen. I have a video that can help you do that. The garlic that I'm using is actually roasted. I found this at the grocery store and got really excited because when you roast garlic, it gets much sweeter and mellower, and I think that that's going to go really well with the flavors of this dish. So I recommend using roasted garlic. We're going to give this a try, but you are welcome to use 5 cloves of fresh garlic or granulated garlic or garlic powder. And you know me, I just don't ever, when it comes to garlic, I measure with my heart. I'm going to put probably couple teaspoons in there. Next up is 2/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And I have a paper towel here. I like to grate my cheese onto a paper towel. It makes it really easy to lift it up and just toss it in whatever measuring cup or whatever it is that I'm going into. So I've got some Parmesan cheese and I've got my rasp. You can certainly use a cheese grater as well, but I prefer this for Parmesan. And just start shredding up that Parmesan. Of course, you can always buy this prepared as well. It's not hard to find Parmesan that's already pre-shredded, but I always like to do mine fresh. It seems like it keeps longer and ends up being less expensive for me in the long run. All right, let's see how that is. I was pretty darn close. And this might be a little bit of a heaping 2/3 cup. When it comes to cheese, that's just the way I like it. And we're only going to put half of this cheese into our casserole dish. The other half is going to be sprinkled on the top at the end. So let's just put about half in there. And we'll save about half of that for sprinkling on top at the end. 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. And normally I am all for shredding my own cheese fresh, but when it comes to mozzarella, it's kind of hard to grate and I don't really enjoy it. So this is one that I buy prepared because otherwise I probably wouldn't cook this dish. It wouldn't be fast and easy anymore. So this is 2 cups in this bag. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups. And just like the Parmesan, I'm only supposed to put half in the casserole dish now, saving the other half to sprinkle on top later. So I'm just going to do approximately about half of this bag and put that in the casserole. Next is about 3 cups of washed baby spinach, and we're just going to roughly chop it. We're not looking for perfection here. Just want for it to be evenly dispersed throughout the dish. And as this cooks in the liquid, like cream sauce that we've got going over here, the spinach will melt. The spinach will not melt. The spinach will wilt and get very much smaller. So it doesn't have to be perfect. toss that in there. I'm running out of room in my casserole dish. This is good stuff. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more spinach. As I said, this seems like a very balanced dish. Here comes, we got the protein with the chicken, and now here comes the veggies with the spinach. So in my mind, this is kind of a one bowl dinner. I'm not going to do a side dish, and I don't feel guilty about it. We're going to go in with about a pint of cherry tomatoes, and the recipe says that you can cut these in half or leave them whole. And if I get a choice, I'm going to leave them whole because that sounds a lot easier. I'm all about easy. Also, I know that because this is going to be cooking for 40 minutes in this liquid creamy sauce, these tomatoes are probably going to burst during the cooking process anyhow, and the juices are going to get all over like they're supposed to, so I'm not worried about it. I have washed these tomatoes and made sure that there aren't any stems hanging around, and in they go. And then finally, we are just going to finish up with some seasoning. We're going to take the juice of half a lemon, and I already used this lemon. This was left over from something else, which is perfect. I usually put the juice into a little dish like this just in case a seed wants to get in there. I can fish it out before it ends up in my dish, in my food. Yep, and I got 2 seeds that I can just fish out. Go ahead and put that in there. We're going to do about 1 teaspoon of an Italian seasoning mix. Spread that on there. About a half a teaspoon of salt. In with a little cracked black pepper. Okay, and this is going to be, I think, the hardest part of all, is stirring this, because my pan might be a little bit small for this. I thought that it was equivalent to about a 913 pan, but maybe not. Or maybe it was all that chicken I put in. I definitely put in more chicken, I think, than it really called for. But anyhow, we're going to mix that all up. Then the remaining cheese that we have is going to go on top. Put on some of this mozzarella. And the Parmesan. Oh, this looks good. This looks really good. And then, you know, I didn't think about it until just now. I don't have any fresh basil, but I want some basil right now. Basil just sounds so good. And I do have some dried basil, so I'm gonna go get it. Got some dried basil, and I'm just gonna come over the top with that. That looks amazing. Here we go. One dish wonder. It's gonna go in the oven for 40 minutes, and I will set a timer and I'll see you back here in a little while. Oh my goodness, you guys. At this point, I just hope that you have been cooking along with me today because it smells so good in my kitchen right now. It smells delicious. And this looks amazing. It looks so good. It's beautiful. All right, and now we're just going to let that sit for 10 minutes. I think it probably needs a little bit of time for that creamy sauce to set up a little bit and the starches and the orzo to thicken up that sauce a little bit. So I'm gonna set my timer again for another 10 minutes. It's gonna be really hard to wait that long. And I'll see you back here in a little while. All right. Gonna give this a good mix up. I might need a pot holder to hold this still for me. Hang on just a second. All right. I'm gonna kind of squish those tomatoes. They didn't burst like I thought that they would, but they don't take too much coaxing to pop. So as I stir, I'm just gonna kind of try to pop those a little bit. All right, it's pretty hot. It's pretty steamy, but I'm gonna try to get a little bite. It's very cheesy. Can't complain about that, right? And we'll see where we're at with our seasonings. Really, really good flavor. I'm happy because the orzo is cooked. Anytime I make one of these recipes where you're putting in a certain amount of moisture and you're trying to cook pasta, I've done too many of them where final result is you still have crunchy pasta, and that's no good. Nobody likes crunchy pasta. Loving that the orzo is done. I do think that maybe I need a little bit more salt, so I'm going to add a little bit more salt. But the flavor is really, really good. And I don't think that it needs a lot. I've just got my little salt. I'm going to take a pinch, and I just usually season from up high. Do a couple of little sprinkles, and I'm going to stir it up some more. Give it another try. It's hot. It's really hot, but it's really good. I am very happy and very impressed with it. I love that it is a one pot meal. We put all the ingredients into one pot. I'll show you my sink here in a second. I don't have that many dishes, which is like, woohoo, this is like a weeknight dream come true. And on top of that, it is a one bowl meal. I've got protein, I've got veggies, I've got some starch slash carbs, got plenty of calcium. There's tons of cheese in here. Who doesn't love cheese? This is a perfect meal. You can put it in the oven, set your timer, walk away, come back, dinner's on the table. Very, very happy with this recipe. The dishes are not so bad tonight. We've got dinner in one bowl, one pan, and even my prep stuff was not bad. Thank you so much for cooking with me tonight. I hope that you had fun. I hope that you, like me, learned a new recipe. I love finding new recipes. One of the hardest parts of adulting is trying to figure out, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? This was 20 bucks. It was probably about an hour, 40 minutes of which I didn't even have to do anything. Sign me up. This was a winner. Can't wait to see you next time. We'll be cooking again. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.